Good morning, guys. Coming to you with an update from the trading action yesterday, as well as um, some more of an update on the stocks that I've been holding as well. So, just an overall briefing of what's going on in the market. We have the S&P 500. You can see we talked about before this island reversal pattern. It's still actually holding below this line right here. It's peaked up above it the past 2 days, though. It's had some super choppy action, in the last couple of days, with yesterday being an up day and the day before being down, and the day before being a gap down. So we have a little choppiness going on, but as long as we can stay relatively out of this area, um, you know, we can still assume that we have a little bit of a negative bias to the market. That's the S&P cash. So let's go into some trades that we were holding and give you an update on those first. So the first of which was, actually a crazy reversal yesterday, was Planet Fitness. Wanted to just let me open up the 15-minute chart. So Planet Fitness had actually, we had actually gotten short this name on yesterday morning, right here at this arrow. We held it into the overnight, and the the action obviously yesterday was quite bullish, and it actually has gone over back over the uptrend line that it had fallen down below. So you see here, um, the the stop that I had was this 49.71 area, which is what the pivot was. Excuse me. Which is the pivot, you know, from uh, from a few days back, the high from a few days back here. So that was kind of my line in the sand, and obviously it did hit it quite early on. So I did stop out of this position in Planet Fitness with still some profit from here. But this is why I have stops, especially on names that I'm short the stock versus options, due to something like this happening. Planet Fitness, again, totally insane move on it today, yesterday. So we got out of that position quickly. So keeping your losses small is also really key. You can be wrong. I mean, you're not going to be right 100% of the time at all by any means. Sometimes not even 50 or 60% of the time. But as long as you can keep your losses minimized, you should be doing okay. Okay, next up is Booking.com. You can see that we had, hang on a sec, we had entered this position yesterday, day before yesterday, sorry. Over here in this chart, sorry guys, over here where this first arrow is, at around 1880-ish. So we bought a put on this position, and into yesterday we were holding it with a stop at, I believe, the 1870 level, um, which was a little bit higher than the low of yesterday, but it was, you know, a little bit of a up move from a retracement rather from where the low was. So I'm sorry about that. Let me reiterate that a little bit. So what I had said yesterday, day before yesterday, I believe, was that we would hold Booking as long as it didn't go back above about half of the move of the bar from the other day. So from this day here. So it did not do that. And in fact, the 23% retracement was one of our lines in the sand as well. So we it did not cross back up to above 23, but this 1870 level also was close to the high of yesterday, and it did not ever come back above this after that first 5-minute high there, 15-minute high. So we considered bringing the stop down to the um, the high of the day, and that's where the stop is right now. So the high of yesterday, which is actually a little bit below 1870. So this line is a little incorrect. So that high is 1867.93, which is our stop now. This arrow is a rogue arrow, so I apologize for that. I don't know how that got there. So booking is still, working towards the downside, and we're gonna keep holding it until, and keep bringing our stops down. So right now our stop is at 1870. If today the stock opens up lower, we'll move our stop probably up to the 50% move of yesterday. You can see here also, I just want to mention that it did enter into this gap that we were talking about here. This is a gap from back in February, right here, this 1836.18 level. It did get into that gap, and, so the next target for us will be 1826.44, which is the close of that gap. So that's the next target on booking. Then we have the 61% fib extension level, which we'll be looking at. And then, we kind of have a pretty big window down to 1732.35. So we're keeping an eye on booking and looking for some more weakness. After that, it's Dropbox. This is a position we also got out of pretty quickly on Tuesday. So if you take a look at the 1 minute chart, I don't know if it'll show it. Yeah, okay, good. So if you take a look at the 1 minute chart on Dropbox, our target for Dropbox, we had some pivots, marked out, right? So the first target was this 2880 level, which it managed to get through quite easily. And then the next target was 2774 right here. It actually hit that almost to the tick. So because it hit our target, we were looking to get out pretty quickly, because that was a pretty big move in Dropbox in the morning hours. So as the stock started coming up from this, bouncing up from this level, due to this kind of action right here with the bottoming tail hammer and a swing, we waited. Let me put it on the 5 minute chart. Actually, we waited for so for it to cross above this last red bar right here. You see there was a higher low on the green bar, and it crossed well above it. Because this was our target and it hit it, we decided to go ahead and sell up here at around 28.10. So Dropbox had a little profit there in Dropbox, and it did hit the targets that we were aiming for, and so we're out of that position. Other positions that we're in, GDX. GDX was looking great. This is of course this morning's action, and it looks like it's doing pretty well this morning as well. I'm gonna go ahead and lower my alert to the upside to down here. So GDX yesterday also showed weakness, so it continues to be a good short play for us. So we have targets on GDX down to 1854 is our kind of ultimate target. We put these Fibonacci extensions as potential targets as well. It's gone through both of them, so I'm going to go ahead and take that off to kind of uncrowd the chart. So there's GDX. It's still holding on to it to the short side. We also have Zillow. Zillow, actually, we're still holding because our stop was this longer-term uptrend here. This arrow actually shows where we got in it the day before. Let's see, 2-day 15. Yeah, so the yellow arrow is where we got it in the day before. So we're kind of break even on it right now. The red line to the upside, the trend line, is our stop still. So we're still holding that position. And a couple of other positions that we talked about and got into on Monday include Chubb. Chubb was a short swing position based on the action below the 20-day moving average. Let's just go ahead and put that in there again. I don't know how it came out, so you guys can see exactly what we're talking about to the downside there. So we had a swing trade on Chubb, and we still have the position. We held it through the move and have a target of about 132, 130, 150 on that stock right now. So we're pulling down. I'm going to pull down my stop to the high of yesterday. So it will be right around this 133.82 level will be our stop, from which is the high from yesterday. So as long as Chubb stays below that, we're going to keep holding it, and with a target around this 132 level. And then obviously there's this longer term trend line, this uptrend, which will be our next target. Okay, so that's Chubb. Also, we had PNC. PNC, it did show a little bit of strength yesterday, but because we had our stop uh, was going to be this 142.76 line, I did not see it in time to sell out of the position as it kind of crossed through this 142.76 line. So I actually still have it. It is kind of hovering around that line. So what I'm going to do is put my entry point as a stop now. So this is, go ahead and create the alert. My entry point was over there in that, where that arrow was that you saw. Um, the high kind of this pivot here. Actually, sorry, that's not my entry point. I am just all a mess today. Um, the the stop is going to be actually, let's go ahead and move it back up, the high of yesterday. So yesterday's high will be the stop. Since it's showing a little bit of volatility, let's just maintain it as long as it doesn't cross below yesterday's high. You know, it's still not terribly out of whack. Technically, we could hold it until the high of this bar. If you want to think about technically how to hold, you know, some targets on the stock. I'm going to bring my stop, of course, to this level, and we do have some time to go. I mean, it's just a second day of a swing trade, so we'll continue to look for downside, and if it doesn't, we'll get out of it. And I believe I had some earnings trade ideas for you all yesterday as well. We had Tapestry and Home Depot. Home Depot ended up being a no trade for me personally because it made a huge move in the pre-market to the downside. So you see this last two 15-minute bars before the market opened, it kind of crashed all the way back down to almost my target of 192.10. So I did not take a trade on Home Depot because it already made this move. It was up here when I was thinking it would kind of roll over during the market, and I was trying to capture this whole move here from about 198 down to 192. But because it took it out pre-market, I decided to hold off, and it was fine because it really just kind of consolidated the rest of the day. Because I didn't trade Home Depot, I did say I was not going to trade Tapestry, but because I did not trade Home Depot, I did end up getting into Tapestry. So let's look at the first. Actually, I went by the 1-minute bars on this one. So the very first 1-minute bar to get crossed over, so that was right here about 51.03, I think is when I got in. You can see it as soon as it crossed that line, we entered the position, and the target was, we mentioned this 53.52 level pivot, which is the close of the gap. So we talked about this big gap here. It actually closed it up quite quickly, which is why I closed the position right there as well. So right at the 5-minute bar that went down, this first red bar here, that started going down off of the 53.52 gap close is where we sold it. And actually, we didn't sell it up here. I sold it down here. So as it crossed through, below this bar, and it did end up going higher. Actually, it went all the way to the trend line that we talked about. It touched the trend line that was a longer term channel line perfectly and started coming off of it. So if those, hopefully, some of you took that trade and were able to profit in this huge move in Tapestry. That was a great move yesterday on that stock. And I think that was all that we had as far as the trades for earnings, as well as for the trade that we've been holding for the past couple of days. Lastly, I'll just say this morning we have Macy's that has reported earnings. It's actually on the come down a bit to this 38.80 level. Macy's, would be a good short if it comes back up into this 4111 range and starts to fade back over. We have this shorter term downtrend line here that you can keep as a potential, uh, you know, upside stop right there. Because you have these, there's some pivots here. Actually, I'll go ahead and redo this pivot right here. Um, Activate this one. I'm just doing this right now with you guys. Haven't looked at it yet. So I would say the first target would be down here at 35.41, and then you have a potential 34.45. I don't think it's going to go down too much simply because of this huge cup and handle type of pattern, which could actually provide some strength in the stock. Above the trend line. If it gets back above this trend line, if it does a huge V reversal, that could be some strength over that trend line. So potentially, if in the morning it just at the open it just like pops right through there, that's a strong move, and you can look at this 45.57 pivot as your target. So that's just Macy's off the cuff, and I will look to provide you guys some updates later on today. Have a great day and happy trading.